Hey guys, my name is Morgan and welcome to today's video. Today is going to be all about planting the seedlings. I have some Kormatuna spinach, some cos lettuce and some green frilly lettuce. So I'm going to be filling out this box over here, and I already did that raised bed that side, so I'm going to do this one now as well. I made a reel about that one. So once I've finished with this one, after I've planted out as many as I can in there, I'm then going to come over here by the greenhouse and I'm going to be taking out all of these peppers. We're going into late autumn, or like mid to late autumn, so these peppers are not going to be doing very well. They are starting to die off as well, and a lot of the fruit production has slowed down and has gotten really bad. They're going all mushy because it's cold, and they're not going to be doing too well. So I'm going to be taking them out and I'm going to plant some of the leftover, I think I'm going to have leftover of the green frilly lettuce. So I'm going to put that in here, and if I do still have some more left over, I'm going to be filling out these no dig beds over here. And then if there's still left over, remember how I cleaned out that bed down the bottom, I will then plant some over there. I don't really want to because I have been noticing a lot of slugs down there. I think it's just because it's the bottom of the garden and there's not a lot going on, so I don't really get to take care of the slugs that well. So there is quite a large slug amount going on over there, so I don't really too particularly want to put some gentle lettuce seedlings down the bottom there, but we'll see how it goes. First thing I need to do is get these seedlings into this bed over here. I have a pretty unique way of transplanting my seedlings. I'm using a method that I learned from Charles Dowding, where you literally make your holes, pre-water, and then push your seedlings right in, no covering up, nothing. So although I do have a little bit of fertilizer, I am incorporating some fertilizer in there. So what I do is I make my holes, I fertilize, I pre-water, and I just push my seedlings right in. I don't cover them up. You leave that little, almost like a hole around the seedling. It just helps with watering so that it trails down more towards the seedling instead of running off of the bed. So let me bring you guys a little bit closer and I'll show you exactly how I do this. Alright, so here we are. Let me just move these out the way. And literally all I do is I take this little tool over here and I first mark out exactly where I want my seedlings, and in this case, because the lettuce don't get really big but I also don't want to have them too close together, I can space them pretty close but not too close. So because I've grown green frilly lettuce before, so I know more or less how big they're going to get. They'll probably get around like that big. They'll come up and bunch up quite nicely, so I know more or less how far to space them. So I'm not doing any measuring or any checking with how far apart they are. I'm just eyeing it. I have done it before, so it's not too much of a problem. And what I'm doing is I'm going across, so I'm not making straight rows, I'm just going across from each other, and then I'm going to come up with a very interesting pattern. So there's a row going across there, then there'll be a row in the middle of these two coming down here, there's the middle over there, so then there'll be another row coming down here, and you can actually see that this distance, the spacing is all equal. Well, kind of. It's as good as it needs to be. It doesn't really need to be that accurate, but I'm going to make my holes, then I'm going to fertilize, and I'm using a granular fertilizer. So most of my plants have this granular fertilizer, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sprinkle it over the top. Some of it will go in the holes. That's kind of the plan. I will be putting some more. Oh no, oh no, oh no. I wonder if you guys can see this. Let me just take it off here. What is that? What is that? Those are termites. Yeah, that has just changed the game like crazy. Man, I had just harvested garlic from here and there was not a single termite anywhere. I don't know where these have come from now. Okay, I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna leave this bed. I'm gonna move on to the greenhouse. I'm gonna fix up the greenhouse and I'm going to sort these out. And I'm probably going to make another video in a couple of days when the termites are sorted, and then I'll be able to plant in here. So I'm not going to plant in here now. I don't want to risk my precious little seedlings having to fight against termites. Okay, so let me move on to the greenhouse and I will sort this out. Alright, so onto the greenhouse. The greenhouse has a little bit of a problem that I need to sort out first. This ground is so hard because it's local topsoil. It's not actually compost, and I'd prefer it to be more of a compost mixture than topsoil, because the topsoil around here is really, it's sandy and very clayey, so it's not very nutritious and not very good. So once I have taken, I'm going to be using a no dig approach, and I'm just going to cut all of them down right at the bottom, and then once I've done that, I'm going to see if I can maybe take the top layer off or take this ground out and just dump it right in the middle here in the pathway. And then I have some fresh compost that I'm going to fill this bed up with, and that will then work perfectly fine, and it'll be much better for the plants and for the water, for it to absorb water, because this stuff does not absorb water very well. It kind of runs off. When I have the sprinklers on, I can see it especially. So I need to first chop all of them out, and then I need to see what the soil looks like and how I'm going to approach that. But I do need to take most of this out and fill it up with some better ground, which is going to be some very well decomposed compost. And you can actually see there is still some fruit on here. You can see there's a nice looking bell pepper down the bottom here, but most of them look like this. Look how soft it is. It's really not well. There's some more examples up here. I saw some other ones here. This is what most of them look like. I picked this one off yesterday. So yeah, no, really not too good. They are not going to be doing too well, and especially because we're going into autumn now. These are perennials, so they should actually be overwintered. So they should actually be naturally, like they should be cut down, and in the spring they'll sprout up again. So by me trying to grow them through winter and produce fruit through winter, they're not designed for that. So they're not going to perform well, obviously. So yeah, let me get to work on this greenhouse and start taking these peppers out. But first thing is first, I need to harvest whatever bell peppers I have left. Sure. Well, that's not actually a bad harvest. Some of them are a little bit like this one here. Some of them are a little bit damaged. So this won't be available for like the business, like for selling. But all these other ones, these are still perfectly fine. So this is going to do really well on the market. Alright, so now it is actually time for me to use my shears, and this is the destructive part that's probably going to be a little bit sad, but it is time to come right down to the base, and just by the soil line we're going to give it a cut. And I am going to be cutting them into pretty small pieces because this is all going to go onto the compost pile. I am, however, going to leave in the Pentas Pink because they are a very good pollinator attractor, and I don't want to be taking them out. I might give them a little bit of a trim, but these are definitely going to be staying in. Alright, so now that I have all the bell peppers out, it is time to take some of this ground out, because it is extremely hard. You can see over here, if I come in and I just give it a little scratch, it is extremely hard. I don't like that at all. So yeah, especially for lettuce being a very gentle and soft plant, I don't want them to have to struggle to set up a good root system. because we are going to be eating like the majority of the plant. So I cannot have the plant struggling at all. So it's time to get some of this ground out, and then I'll be able to put some fresh compost in, and we'll be all good and ready for some beautiful seedlings. I do actually realize now that I didn't have to cut them. I could have just pulled them out because I am taking the ground out. So yeah. Alright, the bed is now all emptied and ready for some nice decomposed compost. This stuff is absolutely amazing. I love using it. It's so soft and it's very nutritious, and my plants absolutely, they thrive, they do really well. So yeah, I'm gonna fill this bed with this horse manure compost, and then we'll be all ready. So you will probably have noticed that there's a little patch on that side that I didn't actually take out, and that's because it actually looks similar to this. I don't really know how, because I filled this bed up with the same material, but it is very dark, that side, and it's also not as hard. So I thought, okay, I don't really need to take that out if it looks so good. And the plants were all fine on that side. It's not like they were doing any worse. So yeah, that's why there's a little patch on that side. So I'm also not going to fill the bed 100% all the way to the top, because the lettuce doesn't have a very big root structure. It doesn't really need to have a lot of soil, and because underneath all of this compost is actually the dirt that is the native ground, so there's absolutely no reason why the lettuce can't just grow through here and into the ground underneath. So I'm not going to put a very thick layer because it doesn't really need it. Wow, that is quite interesting. I have no idea what this is. Oh, wow. Let me know in the comments, what is this? Should I be worried? Is that dangerous for my plants? Wow. It's finally time to get our seedlings in the ground, and I'm just going to quickly give you a little demonstration on how exactly I do this. The first thing I'm going to do is come along and make a little hole, and then I'm going to take my fertilizer and sprinkle it around on top and inside the hole just a little bit. Then I'm going to take my water and water inside the hole. Now I'm going to come along and find a nice seedling and then just place it right in there. And there we go. It might not look very nice right now. The seedlings are a little bit tired. They've been outside for a little bit, and they will grow and they will do a little bit better at a later stage. But that is going to do absolutely perfectly fine. So let me get to planting the rest of the lettuce. And I just thought I'd mention as well, the whole reason why I just took all of the ground out and lay it in the middle of the path is because I'm not going to be using it again. I will never use this kind of ground again, and it's just going to add, basically it's just going to add a little bit of drainage for the compost pile if I had to put it in there. It's not going to break down, it's not going to add any nutrients into the compost pile, and it's, in actual fact, it's not going to add any nutrients back into the garden. So I just made a little path here because that's as best as I can do with it. Now that that bed is all done, I'm going to move over to the cos lettuce, and the Komatsuna spinach, and I'm going to be planting them in this no-dig bed over here. But the only thing that I'm going to do different is I'm going to water the bed before I make the holes, and then I'm going to add my fertilizer and then the plants. So it's just going to be the same steps but just a little bit different. The reason I did that was mainly just because every time I made the hole and then I watered, the water coming out here is just a little bit too strong, so it would mess up the hole, and sometimes it would cover it up again and I'd have to make the hole again. So this time now I've watered it, I can come in, make my hole, and I can plant straight in there and it'll be all perfectly fine with the fertilizer as well, obviously. So there we have it. Finally, at the end of the day, we have the greenhouse sorted out, planted with our green frilly lettuce, and we have this no-dig bed planted out with some Komatsuna spinach and some cos lettuce, which is also known as romaine lettuce. So yeah, I'm very pleased with the end result. I'm nice and tired now. It's been a long day of working in the garden. Absolutely love it. But yeah, that is going to be the end of today's video. I hope you really enjoy. Please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and until next time, have a wonderful day and stay active in the garden.